Hello and welcome to Wednesday Live with Evie number 40. For those of you who are trying to get on live, I'm sorry about the delay. I know we're starting a little bit late today. My phone camera for some reason wasn't turning on, but it seems to be resolved now, so here we are. So today's topic is all around setting boundaries. And the barking that you might be hearing in the background is actually part of why today's today's topic is around boundaries, and I'll share that in just a little bit. First of all, if you don't know me, my name is Evie Burke, and I work with entrepreneurs and I help them take their productivity to a new level. And if that is something that you're interested in, let me know and we can talk. And hopefully the little dog won't bark all the way through here. So anyway, one of the other things I want to share is if you are somebody who is feeling overwhelmed with all of the things you have going on in your business, head over to my website, oneinsightcloser.com, and grab the freebie there. It's how to choose priorities when everything is important, and it'll walk you through how to decide what things to work on next so you're not constantly being bombarded with all of these options. It's a really big, huge energy drain when there's so much to do. So when you have them prioritized out, it can be really helpful and free up some of that mental energy that we all really would love to have, right? Or have more of. And then the second thing is, if you're not already a member of my Facebook group, I have a private Facebook group. It is called Productivity for Women Entrepreneurs. You can head over to the Facebook group and join us. It's a great place to get some support and be held accountable for the things that you want to get done that week. So that's what I want to share with you today, the pre-stuff. So to get into the meat of the story, so the meat of setting boundaries. And what this topic came about because my husband and I are watching my parents' Boston Terrier Cam this week. And if you could hear her barking downstairs, she's still here. She's here until Saturday. And last time we watched her, we had her for 3 nights, 4 days and 3 nights. And 2 of the mornings that we had her, she peed on the carpet upstairs. So she is pee pad trained, and my parents have hardwood floors, and we have hardwood floors in our house on the first floor. On the second floor it's all carpet. And when we had her the first time, we'd set her down on the carpet, and she didn't seem to understand the difference between the pee pad and the carpet, so she'd just pick a spot in the morning and she'd go. So that made for some fun mornings with us, right? And so this time we changed it up. And we decided that when both of us were out of bed, then we would take her downstairs right away, because that's where her crate was with the pee pad if she needed to go to the bathroom. When we had her before, the plan was to take her out to actually, go to the bathroom outside, but she wouldn't wait for us to get dressed. She'd go right away. And we found the same thing this trip. We take her downstairs and she goes to the bathroom, in her crate pretty quick. So because we set up that boundary, because we set up the boundary of, okay, we're both getting up, she goes downstairs, we don't have messes to clean up on the carpet anymore, because we're not giving her the chance to do that. And it made me think of the boundaries. We set that boundary with her and for ourselves, where whoever the last one out of bed is goes and takes her downstairs. We set up that boundary. It prevents us from having to clean the carpet or keep a super, super close eye on her to make sure she doesn't have a mess, because last time we tried to do that, and if you just looked away for literally like 10 seconds, she'd find a spot to squat. But it made me think of, in our business and in our lives, what are those boundaries that we can set up, or the boundaries that maybe we have set up that support us not cleaning up those messes in our own lives, or just support us in general, right? And one of the things that I was thinking about, before I sat down live was how many of those messes do you have in your own life? Like, and they're not like literal messes, probably like we had with the dog, but just those little messes, whether they're mental or whatever they are, you know, the metaphoric messes that happen in our lives that we just figure are just part of the way things go, that maybe don't have to be, that maybe are things that if you set up a couple of boundaries that would be really helpful around not having that mess happen anymore. And how do you set these boundaries? How do you know where to put the boundaries up? And before I go into that, if any of you have any boundaries that you have that you would be willing to share them below, because everybody has different boundaries that work for them. So let us know what they are. And I just realized I haven't shared the link for this in the group. So let me do that here. Not the group, but the event. So let me do that. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to share just some of the ways that, some things to think about as you're looking at setting boundaries. I can't find the event name. I'm having more technical difficulties. This time it's with my brain. I don't know why it's not coming up there. All right, well, we can do it this way. So share those boundaries that you have. Da-da. Events. There we go. Where there's a will, there's a way. There's always a different way to do it. So sorry about the little delay there. But anyway, so when you're thinking about setting boundaries, start thinking about what is and isn't working for you in your, whether it's your personal life, whether it's your business, whether it's family, whether it's a relationship, whatever it is. Think about some of the things that are and aren't working for you. Think about, you know, maybe for your business, are you drained 2 hours into the day? Why are you drained 2 hours in? You know, what's going on there? What are some boundaries that you might want to set to, you know, preserve your energy? Is there a client or customer that you just dread talking to? Again, what's going on there? What are some boundaries maybe that you might want to set there? So basically you want to look at what are the things that are draining your energy? What are the things that are maybe even draining your time? And what are some boundaries that you can set up to protect yourself, but also to take care of yourself? I think that might be a better way to look at that. What are the boundaries that you can set up to take care of yourself? So instead of going into all the different types of boundaries there are, because I'm sure there's a lot, and we're going to cover some of them, I want to just throw some ideas out there for you to think about. Some boundaries that maybe you haven't thought about before. And jot down, whether it's on a piece of paper, whether you note it in the comments, somewhere, you know, where you're going to see it though and remember it for later. Jot down the things that maybe you haven't thought of that would be helpful for you to think of, you know, or create boundaries around. And the things that I share that aren't for you, because I'm going to just share a bunch of different types of boundaries or different ideas for boundaries you can set. So the boundaries that aren't for you, that's okay. They're not for you. Don't worry about it. But note the ones that you're like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I need to think about that a little bit. And yeah, Trisha, protect and preserve. Absolutely. I agree. So let's talk about boundaries. So boundaries can be, a lot of times we think about boundaries and we think about the things that we're not going to do. That might be keeping social media or email closed while we're going through certain parts of the day, right? But boundaries can also be things that we do. So they can be things that we reserve time for. Things like making sure you have a good lunch and that it's away from your desk. That can be a boundary. You know, it's a self-care thing. You're taking care of yourself and you're getting away from your desk. So that might look like knowing that you're not going to schedule anything, any calls, or be working from noon to 12:30 or whatever time that is for you. It might be something like going and running to the bathroom before you leave an event or a friend's house or fill in the blank, so that you don't get halfway home and have to go really bad, right? And it can be that simple. It can be just those little things that we do to make sure that we're comfortable, because as soon as we're, and I don't mean comfortable in the, you know, you're staying in your comfort zone. I mean, you know, physically comfortable, like you're physically taking care of yourself. Think about how many times you're heading down the road somewhere and you're like, I have to go to the bathroom. And you decide just to hold it. And by the time you get to wherever you're going, you have to go so bad, it's uncomfortable. Anybody else have that experience? So, or you've left an event because you're thinking about what the next things in the day are, and you're in the car and you're 2 minutes into your car ride and you realize, I have to go to the bathroom, right? So take care of yourself. Run to the bathroom. You know, if you need to stop at Target and run in and use the bathroom, stop at Target and run in and use the bathroom. One of the things, and this cracks me up that I know this, because when I was in my 20s, I would not have taken note of this at all. I know some of the forest preserves and the parks in the area that have public bathrooms that I regularly pass, so that if I have to go to the bathroom, and even if I'm only 10 minutes from home, I know that this park or this forest preserve that I'm going to go by has a public toilet that flushes, and I can run in there and use that quick, and plus I get to be in nature a little bit, and I like that, so it's kind of like a double bonus. But it's just little things like that, you know, where you can take care of yourself and go to the bathroom without having to hold it to the point of, you know, the water line in your eyes, you know, your eyes are floating. Isn't that the term there? So it can also be things like how and when your clients or your customers contact you. You know, things like, when do you answer your personal calls? Do you answer them during the day? Your business calls, do you answer them on your personal time? What are those boundaries that you've set up? Different type of businesses require different type of boundaries. So, and in your business, you get to set your own boundary. So decide what that is. If a client sends you an email at 2 a.m., are they expecting you to be available or not? Have you expressed to them what's appropriate and what's not appropriate? Just have those boundaries, share those boundaries with them. Let's see, I'm looking at my notes over here to make sure that I cover the things that I want to cover. Boundaries can have a minimum and a maximum. So, yeah, Stephanie says she totally uses the bathroom before getting into the car. Yes. Yeah, and going to the bathroom before speaking to a group, right. And especially, notice how the things you're eating affects how you have to go to the bathroom. So I know for myself, if I have a cup of coffee in the morning, I'm probably going to need to go to the bathroom before I leave to go to wherever I'm going. And if I want to be able to sit through the entire meeting, I'm probably going to need to go to the bathroom before I walk into the meeting. Not because I have to go, just so that I don't have to get up and excuse myself in the middle of the meeting. So just notice those things about yourself. They're not bad, they're not good, they're just, this is how I work. This is how my body works with caffeine. This is how my body works with X amount of whatever I drink in the morning. And just notice it and take care of yourself. Okay, so anyway, boundaries can have a minimum and a maximum. So it might be, I work minimally until 3 p.m. each day. And I work at a maximum until 6 p.m. each day. It might be I see a minimum of this many clients or this many one-on-ones a week, or coffee meetings. It might be I have a maximum of this many meetings, coffee meetings or one-on-ones, or I see a maximum of this many clients a week, or I go out and network a minimum of this and a maximum of this each week or each month. Know what those are for you. Some people can network a lot and have the energy for that and have businesses where they're more able to do that. And then, there's other businesses that obviously everyone wants to be out and networking so you can meet new people one-on-one, face-to-face. But there's also, because of the nature of their business, they need time to be in their office, significant amount of time to be in their office. So just know kind of what that mix is for you. What are the minimums and maximums you might want to set up around that? Again, know the boundaries around your working hours and decide, what are those working hours? What are the things I do and I don't do during those working hours? What's my personal time? What's my family time? And what are the things that I do and I don't do during those hours? Email. Do you have a separate personal account from your business account? And I'm not saying you have to have one or the other. I personally don't. Everything comes into one email, but decide for yourself what works for you. I know other people who wouldn't be able to function if their personal email came into their business email, if those were the same things. So know what works for you. Do you need those things separated? And when do you check email? Do you have certain times of the day that are, email free? Do you have certain times of the day where it's best for you to check your mail and just, cycle through it quickly? Kind of know what works for you. What are your boundaries around your time with your family? Are there times during the day or during the week where there's no screens on or you're not looking at your cell phone? I know my husband will get annoyed with me if we're watching TV and I've spent too much time playing on my phone or checking Facebook or playing a game or something else. And he's like, can't you just be here, right? So what are your boundaries around your cell phone or your laptop or things like that? Do you have any? Are you good about those and you don't need specific boundaries? Do you need boundaries around certain times of the day? So are there certain times of the day where you work best and that's your focus time, and so it's best if you can spend that time doing the work of your business? So what are the boundaries around that time of the day? Do you go on meetings during that time? Do you limit the number of meetings you have in a week during those times or that time? How many client calls do you allow yourself during that time? Like, how are you setting up your day? What are the boundaries around that? So a lot of things to think about there. Not maybe any one particular piece of advice there, because different pieces are going to work for different people. Not all of these things are boundaries that you need, but think about if you were to add one boundary to your life this week, to your business this week, what might that boundary be? Again, think about where are the places that really drain your energy. Where are you maybe spending a lot more time than you need to be or want to be? And what are some boundaries that you can place around that situation or time or fill in the blank that would really be helpful for you? And if you feel comfortable, you can share those below. If not, just keep it in mind and play with it a little bit. What are those boundaries that work for you? And again, going back to the story about the dog, about Cam, making messes on the carpet, are there any situations or places in your life where you're constantly cleaning things up? You know, and I'm sure there's a better metaphor in there that I could be using, but it's not coming to mind right now. So what are those messes that you're cleaning up that have just become maybe part of your routine, that don't need to be part of your routine, that if you set a boundary up around it, that you could eliminate, you know, that mess and prevent it from happening, you know, in the future. And it's one of those things, like for us taking the dog downstairs, it's a little bit of extra work to take the dog downstairs in the morning. But if we don't, then we have to clean up the carpet, right? So, you know, it's a little bit more extra work to take her downstairs, but it's less work than cleaning up the carpet every morning, right? Yeah, Eileen says keeping a set office hour schedule, even though she works from home is a must for her. Yeah. That's I think something sometimes when we work from home that we overlook is, you know, what is that office schedule that works for us, and what does that look like? So again, you know, going back to the dog and the mess situation, where are the things that you might need to tweak? And sometimes it might be that you need to have some conversations with people. You know, if you have a client or a customer that just is sucking the energy out of you, that you just so look forward to not hearing from, you know, the person where you see you have a meeting with them, or you see you have an email from them, or a phone call or a text, and you're like, oh, I don't want to deal with them, you know, or just the ugh feeling. You know, notice that. What's going on there? What do you need to set up some boundaries there? Is there a conversation that needs to happen where you tell them, do not text me at 3 a.m.? You know, what boundaries do you need to set, and how do you need to share them with other people if you need to share them? I know for me, when I started working from home, my husband would just expect that I'd be able to go and do grocery shopping in the middle of the day. And, you know, he'd say in the morning, hey, you know, we're out of XYZ. Can you just run by, you know, this store and pick it up? And I'd say, that store's 15 minutes away from here. Well, yeah, but just when, you know, sometime when you have some free time today. And it's like, I don't have free time, and I'm not going to be in that part of town to just run by quick to pick it up. And he's like, well, you know, it's only like a half hour out of your day. I'm like, well, then you do it. And he'd be like, well, I can't because I'm at work. Well, I am too. I just happen to work from home. And he caught on. He's a good guy. He caught on pretty quick. And so now he'll ask, but it'll be with, are you going to be in this part of town today? And generally I'm not. Generally the places I'm networking aren't the places that also have the things he's looking, you know, for me to stop by. But occasionally they are, or I'll run by someplace, you know, the library, and drop something off for him that's quick. But think about what those boundaries are for you. Again, just think about what's working for you, what's not working for you, and adjust. I say that a lot when I'm talking about a lot of different topics. But a lot of advice, whether it's boundaries or anything, it just comes down to knowing what's working for you, what's not working for you, and what do you need to adjust. So if you need any help around this, let me know. I'm happy to talk things through with you. Just comment below that you'd like to chat with me, and we can set that up. So that is all I have for you today. That was Wednesday Live with Evie number 40. And the topic was boundaries that support you. And since we are at number 40, that means there are 39 other topics in the archive that, if you haven't seen them, you know, maybe page through and see what are some of the things that might be of interest to you that you might want to watch, and go and watch a couple. And if you want to comment on those, go ahead and comment on those. So I always see the comments. Yeah, I was glad you could be here too, Stephanie. So it was good to see you. So that is all I have for you today. If you have any questions or anything you want to share with me, feel free to leave those below. And until next week, much love.